Aileen Wuornos. A name that evokes both fear and sympathy. The world knows her as one of the most infamous female serial killers in modern history, a woman responsible for the brutal murders of 7 men across the highways of Florida between 1989 and 1990. But behind the headlines, there's a much deeper story, one of pain, survival, and a life shaped by trauma. Born on February 29, 1956, in Rochester, Michigan, Aileen's life was marked by chaos from the start. Abandoned by her mother at just 6 months old, she was raised by her grandparents. But life in their home was far from safe. By the age of 11, Aileen was subjected to horrific sexual and physical abuse, both from her family and others around her. Desperate for survival, she began selling her body for food and money, a pattern that would follow her into adulthood. As she grew older, Aileen became a drifter, living on the margins of society. She hitchhiked across the country, relying on sex work to get by. But the rage and bitterness she carried inside her, the product of years of exploitation and abuse, would soon spill out in a series of deadly encounters. Between 1989 and 1990, Aileen killed 7 men in cold blood. Her first victim, Richard Mallory, was a convicted rapist, and Aileen claimed she killed him in self-defense after he violently attacked her. But as the bodies continued to pile up, her story became less convincing. Shot at point-blank range, many of the men were left along deserted highways, their lives taken by a woman who saw them not as people, but as threats. In 1991, Aileen Wuornos was arrested, and during her trial, the world saw a complex and disturbed individual. She claimed that all of the killings were in self-defense, but the evidence painted a different picture. Aileen's violent outbursts, her changing stories, and her erratic behavior made it clear, this was a woman whose mind had been shattered by years of trauma. Despite her tragic backstory, Aileen was sentenced to death. On October 9, 2002, she was executed by lethal injection in the state of Florida. In her final moments, she expressed her anger and disillusionment with the world, saying she would return, that her spirit wasn't done. Aileen Wuornos' life and crimes continue to spark debate. Was she a victim of circumstance, a product of years of abuse and neglect? Or was she simply a cold-blooded killer, seeking revenge on the men who crossed her path? The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere in between. Her story has been immortalized in books, documentaries, and films like Monster, a tragic figure who became both a symbol of the damage done by trauma and a cautionary tale of the darkness that can take hold in the human soul. This is the story of Aileen Wuornos, a woman whose life of pain and violence left an indelible mark on history. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more true crime content.